Ask Me Anything by Redical. I'm Ethan, an 18-year-old who made national headlines for getting vaccinated despite an anti-vax mother. Ask Me Anything. Back in November I made a Reddit port to r/stupid questions regarding vaccines. That blew up, and now months later, I've been on NBC, CNN, Fox News, and so many more. How's your relationship with your mother after making your decision? My mother and I have a great relationship. Although we are continuing to discuss evidence and our different viewpoints, we've been able to build a foundation that we still love each other regardless of disagreement. Somehow I didn't expect a rational response from your mother, simply because she's anti-vax, though I suppose she's anti-vax because cares about you and is misguided rather than simply being misguided. Have you discussed your reasoning for getting vaccinated with your siblings? If so, how have they responded? Do they understand your mom's reasoning? I have discussed it with my siblings and they each have their own individual thoughts. My sister supports my mom's views and my brother is more on my side. He's expressed a desire to get vaccinated, but he's still doing his own research. We all understand our mom loves us, but she is misinformed. I disagree with her on almost every level. That's a weird place to be in, but we've made it work. Not to bash your brother, but I think it's insane that we're living in a period where people are doing their own research to decide on whether getting vaccinated is the best thing for them or not. Absolutely insane. Does your dad stick by your mom on the anti-vax view? To a small degree with kids at a young age, and I disagree with that as well. Edit. Spelling. Edit 2. Wow, that was a bad answer. I'm sorry guys. My dad believes vaccinating young children, especially with a lot of shots, is bad. After they develop a strong immune system he believes they're fine, and I really question the evidence on that front. Ironically, our pediatrician said there is an increased risk in people experiencing adverse reactions when they are older, even a few years older, rather than following the schedule, which is why the schedule exists. Are you disappointed that you will never be able to experience things like measles, polio, or diphtheria? No, I am not. Edit. Spelling is hard. Was spelling hard before you got the vax? Do you think it's possible to use your moment in the spotlight to craft an appeal to anti-vax parents that is different from what they are used to? I saw you during the segment on NBC Nightly News, and you very evenly stated that our best science doesn't support anti-vax claims, which is completely true, but doesn't resonate with the anti-vax crowd enough. My question might be becoming a loaded one, but do we need to be talking about dead kids more? So to address this question, which is a great question BTW, I'll talk to your 3 points. 1. I think this totally could be used to appeal to the anti-vax crowd. In a way it already has, because people have noticed that I'm not attempting to make people look stupid. There's an aspect of this where you can't deny the overwhelming evidence in support of vaccines, but you don't need to present that in a way that is super hostile. So I think I've done that. 2. That statement of the best science is honestly already a toned down truth. The science supports vaccines. Legitimate science supports vaccines. Real science. So going anywhere beyond our best scientific evidence is too far, at least for me to maintain authenticity. 3. Yes we do. I'm not attempting to make people look stupid. I've got to praise your maturity and clear-headedness on that one. You're right, of course. That is probably the best way to approach the conspiracy theorists, though it's probably the most difficult portion for me. I seen Jenny McCarthy being an idiot on TV and can only think, how is she not in jail for her prominent role in murdering hundreds of children, and could not keep it at a rational level? How are the people around you reacting to your 15 minutes of fame? Nothing too crazy. I actually have a group chat where my friends and I share memes on Snapchat, and I shared some memes with my picture in it. They really liked that. I also took a picture at the broadcasting station of me dabbing where I did my Fox interview and they lost it. So part of it has been a joke. Like, oh, Ethan's famous but he's still our stupid meme guy. In all honesty, it's been great because of that. I'm not a different person now and people see that. Dabbing? I see evidence of vaccines making you autistic. See, they are bad for you. S. What was something surprising that you learned when researching vaccines versus non-vaccines? that not everyone should be vaccinated. Immunodeficient people and kids with allergic reactions to vaccines shouldn't be pushed to get vaccinated. Herd immunity will protect those people. So the idea that the government is forcing people to get vaccinated even if they have a weak immune system or allergies isn't even true. That was surprising and reaffirmed to me the importance of getting vaccines as a young adult who is healthy and able to get those vaccines. Edit. Clarification. I was always curious about that. I missed out on a couple of influenza vaccines back in the day because of allergies. Thanks for your time. Are there any other extreme views your parents had growing up? Extreme? Maybe. Depends on what you find extreme. They are both very conservative and hold very conservative views. And because of that we disagree on a lot of political ideas in a way I find extreme. I don't want to try and bash my parents though and say, oh yeah they believe, blank stupid idea. That's so extreme. At this point the anti-vax community would see that as further proof this story is just about a rebellious teenager. Wow, good answer bro. Edit. No sarcasm. Legit good answer. You like soup? What's your favorite? I like cereal. It's basically milk soup. But for real I guess chicken noodle lol. What's your favorite flavor milk soup? Did the medical staff act any differently? Were they surprised? I haven't spoken to any medical staff since this story blew up, but when I went in to get my vaccines they were simply kind of surprised I hadn't gotten any vaccines for 16 years, and even then on my records I got 2 shots. So they were almost a little disappointed by that but super happy and supportive I was catching up. Did you tell your mom about the 2 shots on your medical record? Was she aware of them? Would you blame your mother if one of your siblings died from a preventable disease? I try not to. Instead I hope I'd blame the misinformation fed to her. The individuals trying to convince loving mothers to not vaccinate so they can make money, which is not an exaggeration that happens often, are to blame for the dead children. As a Christian I also think it's important to be loving and forgiving. But with that thought I also hope that God forgives the people who are responsible for spreading lies that have killed thousands of children while judging them for that level of evil greed. Makes me sick. Maybe a controversial question, but do you wonder whether your religious beliefs may also stem from the same source as the anti-vax beliefs upbringing? Has this whole thing in any way affected your views towards religion in regards to science versus faith? I'm asking genuinely and hopefully it doesn't sound like it's loaded with my own agenda. I'm just interested. Are you gonna try to get your younger brother vaccinated too? Totally. What does your mom think about you not having autism? After getting my vaccines, must be one of the lucky ones. Is it still just that one debunked Wakefield study that they people cling to? Or is there other stuff they think counts as evidence? Now that you're unlikely to die from a preventable disease, what's your adulting plan goals? Hoping to pursue a career in ministry and become a published author. Obviously being alive helps with that plan too. Go you. There's literally dozens of us who can work in ministry and not be threatened by evidence-based medicine. What was your mother's reaction when you got vaccinated? And what made you decided not to believe what your mother told you your whole life? When I told her I was getting vaccinated, she was upset. She was scared and thought I was going to harm myself by getting vaccinated. That thought process makes sense when you really believe vaccines cause brain damage, cause autism, and are a corporate scheme. But the evidence isn't there. The data supports vaccines on nearly every scientific and logical level. When I presented sources that were scientific and reliable like the CDC taking numerous studies and concluding vaccines don't cause autism, those were dismissed as big pharma governmental schemes. So at that point I knew there was a strong likelihood my mom was deeply misinformed and I'd have to make this decision without her immediate support. What baffles me most are the deep state big pharma governmental scheme conspiracy theories. Like, do you really think every single employee at NASA since its inception has stayed quiet about flat earth, with no outlying motivation to do so? No deathbed confessions? No slips of the tongue? No docs accidentally found by others? When it comes to anti-vax, it's the same thing. How can you honestly believe that every doctor and every study are in on this big conspiracy? What could they possibly have to gain? Can these people honestly believe that not one intern, assistant, or doctor comes out month over month on social media or other platforms to blow the lid off this whole secret, it's a level of delusion that just blows my mind. Since you've grown up with an anti-vax mom, would you say that there are any misconceptions people have about anti-vaxxers? What is something most people wouldn't know about growing up with anti-vax parents? That they hate their kids. My mom loves me and my siblings, and that love was used as a tool by the anti-vax community to convince loving parents like her that she's poisoning her kids and giving them autism. It's the sources of that information I believe are entirely malicious and downright evil for doing that. So yeah, that's why I've seen, at least in my case. I by no means am against vaccinating. But what would be the advantage of convincing parents to not vaccinate their children, aside from causing an epidemic of essentially eradicated diseases? What do you think of people like those in r/conspiracy claiming you're some sort of actor doing this for a stunt? That's stupid and not true, lol. Good, he remembered the script. I mean, yeah, those guys are crazy. Is your mom vaccinated? I'm not fully sure. I haven't spoken to her parents about the issue. Even if she is, most likely that decision was her parents' or was before she became misinformed on the issue. So that doesn't matter too much to our circumstances. I don't understand how a normal healthy adult who is vaccinated could then decide to be anti-vax and not only put their child at risk but also think vaccines somehow consistently cause severe side effects. What made you seek out conflicting new information about the issue in the first place? The fact that the substantial evidence against vaccines had never been presented to me, and once I came across the genuine data, it changed nothing about my mom's reasoning. Do you think your mother lacks critical thinking skills, is just kind of afraid of things she doesn't understand, or something else? What advice would you give to those who are in the same situation with anti-vaccination parents? Be respectful, and even if your parent is illogical or even rude, continue to calmly present your evidence when you get the chance. If they still don't listen, just get vaccinated when you're old enough and continue to reaffirm you're doing it for your own sake and for other safety, but you still love your parents. Mad props for your decision, and especially for the maturity with which you're handling this entire situation. Stay awesome. Are there any tips you can give when arguing with an anti-vax person? Like not evidence but ways to word your argument to make it more convincing? I would say it's not your job to convince people. It's your job to find the evidence and compare notes. Usually anti-vax material doesn't hold much water, so finding out what sources come from what, who is funding the research, if the study is peer-reviewed and has been replicated, all of that is still important. The thing people miss is that you're usually taking to another human. Be nice, be respectful, and continue to affirm the truth. That's the most genuine and kind thing we can do while not making the situation any less important. I know you've mentioned being a minister in another comment, and I just wanna say that the mindset you display in that second paragraph will really help you go far. Never let it become an us versus them thing, even when others want to make it that way. What made you realize that your parents were wrong about this? When did you come to that conclusion? Alternatively, or additionally, why does your mother feel the way she does about vaccines? I'll answer the second part of your question. She was misinformed by numerous sources of debunked information and data that has attempted to prove false ideas such as vaccines causing autism. That false information in her eyes is true, despite being debunked and false. So I hope that answers your question. Some sources could include sites and places such as but not specifically stopmandatoryvaccines.com and various friends' social groups. I really don't understand. She takes sources of information that have been debunked as truth but real peer-reviewed studies she doesn't care about. My head hurts. Need a question here, so how you doing? Heads up, a-holes from r/conspiracy are trying to dox you. Can you even dox someone who is posting as themselves? They can post their address, number, email, etc. Whatever they can find to cause havoc will be shared. Hopefully nothing shitty will happen. I ducking hate doxers. What influenced you to look into the information yourself? Where was the majority of that information found? Sources such as the CDC, WHO, and specific scientific studies cited by them were the majority of where I looked. Historical evidence of vaccines in the case of polio and the dangers of them and the measles story have also been a big place to base my decision from. Thanks for watching this radical video. Subscribe for the best Reddit videos straight to your feed.